What if the life you are desperately chasing is exactly what is quietly destroying you? You are bleeding out in a digital cage, but hidden within a violent storm lies a forgotten sanctuary. Watch until the end, because the silence waiting afterward will permanently shatter your reality. What if I told you that everything you are desperately chasing right now, the glowing notifications, the digital metrics, the relentless, exhausting pursuit of more, is exactly what is quietly destroying you? You are bleeding out in a digital war zone, surrounded by a society that has entirely forgotten what it actually means to be alive. We sleepwalk through concrete jungles, carrying supercomputers in our pockets, utterly convinced we are the untouchable gods of the modern age. Yet a single dropped Wi-Fi signal is enough to plunge our entire existence into a state of helpless, panicking paralysis. At Ngayan Buang Review 01 warmly welcomes you to a space where we finally unplug from that absolute madness. If you are ready to seek the unfiltered truth with me, please hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel, giving us the immense motivation to keep bringing you these profound journeys into the raw essence of life. Listen closely, because I am inviting you to step into a sanctuary of absolute, dead silence. This is a space deliberately severed from the chaotic, profit-obsessed hysteria of the outside world. There are no blaring car horns here to fracture your thoughts. No frantic push notifications blowing up your phone to tell you your portfolio just took a massive hit. Instead, I want you to strip away all the synthetic noise and anchor yourself to the raw, unfiltered basics of reality. Just pause and listen to the rhythmic, rustic scrape of a bamboo broom sweeping across a damp dirt courtyard. Listen to the steady, methodical drumming of fresh milk hitting the hollow bottom of a tin pail. These are not merely passing sounds. They are the ancient, foundational heartbeats of human survival. When the weathered old man squints at the darkening horizon and mutters that the winds are shifting, he isn't checking an algorithm on a screen that will likely feed him a lie. He is tapping into real-time, visceral data from the earth itself. It is a pure, untainted, and primal tether to Mother Nature. We have foolishly traded these razor-sharp primal instincts for fragile convenience, wrapping ourselves in an arrogant illusion of control. But as the sky bruises into a violent, unforgiving gray, it serves as the ultimate reality check. It proves that while our modern civilization is all bark, nature still ruthlessly dictates the bottom line. The harder the world outside gets absolutely battered by the storm, the more profoundly cozy and secure this inner sanctuary feels. The howling wind out there is no longer a threat. It becomes a magnificent, roaring testament to the fortress of peace we have built inside. A quiet, unshakable power so impenetrable that no corporate collapse, no digital blackout, and no modern crisis could ever hope to touch it. As that impenetrable power takes root inside us and the first heavy drops of rain begin to strike the tin roof, we do not panic. Instead, we seamlessly shift into a deliberate, ancient rhythm of preparation. In the modern world, exhaustion is almost entirely a mental affliction, a toxic, invisible weight born from hundreds of unanswered emails, the pressure to perform for strangers online, and the constant, vibrating anxiety of phantom deadlines. We drain our souls sitting in ergonomic chairs, staring at artificial light until our eyes burn, feeling utterly depleted despite having barely moved our physical bodies all day. Here, however, labor is an entirely different beast. It is sacred, raw, and deeply grounding. I watched the old man pick up a rusted axe, his calloused hands gripping the worn wooden handle with the quiet familiarity of an old friend. Every swing is a masterclass in economy of motion, the heavy steel biting into the oak with a satisfying, resonant crack that echoes through the misty air. There is no ambiguous metric for success here. The wood is either split, or it is not. The livestock are either secured against the dropping temperature, or they are exposed. This physical exertion demands your absolute presence. You cannot be trapped in a spiral of regret about the past or paralyzed by anxiety over the future when you are hauling 50 pounds of feed through ankle-deep mud. The ache that settles into your shoulders is not the sharp, stinging pain of corporate burnout, but a heavy, honest fatigue that tells you exactly what you have accomplished. Your hands get stained with soil, sap, and grease. the unavoidable markers of a life genuinely lived, not just conceptualized on a digital spreadsheet. We have spent decades trying to automate away this physical struggle, viewing it as a burden, entirely missing the profound psychological anchor it provides. When you stack that final cord of firewood just as the sky unloads its torrential fury, you feel an immense, surging wave of primitive satisfaction. You have collaborated directly with the earth to secure your own survival. That tangible reality strips away all the modern ego, leaving only a quiet, grounded pride. You are no longer floating in the endless ether of the internet. You have firmly planted your feet in the dirt, and for the first time in years, you can actually feel the earth pushing back. Leaving the biting chill of the rain-soaked yard and the satisfaction of a hard day's labor behind, we push open the heavy wooden door and step into the thick, enveloping warmth of the kitchen. This is the undisputed heart of the sanctuary, a striking defiance against the cold indifference of the storm outside. In the city, feeding ourselves has devolved into a soulless transaction. A frantic swipe on an app, a plastic bag handed through a car window, a meal hastily consumed while our eyes remain glued to a glowing screen. We ingest calories, but we are entirely starved of nourishment. In this space, the act of cooking reclaims its rightful place as a sacred ritual of survival and gratitude. A cast iron pot, blackened by years of open flames, hangs heavily over the crackling wood fire. The air is intensely fragrant, thick with the rich, earthy scent of wood smoke, simmering root vegetables pulled from the damp soil just hours ago, and herbs that grew wild along the fence line. There are no barcodes here, no unpronounceable chemical preservatives, and absolutely no artificial urgency. The fire dictates the pace, and the fire cannot be rushed. I watch as the rough-hewn ingredients are slowly transformed into something deeply restorative. When you hold a ceramic bowl of this steaming broth, you are not just consuming food. You are taking in the soil, the rain, and the immense labor of the hands that tended it. Every spoonful forces you to slow down, to actually taste the sharp bite of wild garlic and the hearty starch of the potatoes. It warms the chest, thawing out not just the physical chill of the storm, but the deep, existential coldness that modern society so quietly breeds within us. We sit on wooden benches, the firelight casting long, dancing shadows against the raw timber walls. The ambient noise of the kitchen, the bubbling pot, the shifting logs, the rain drumming relentlessly against the glass, creates a symphony of absolute comfort. This is the kind of profound fulfillment that no amount of money or digital clout could ever purchase. It is the primitive, undeniable joy of a full belly, a warm hearth, and the profound realization that everything you actually need to sustain your soul is right here in this room. With our bellies full of that honest harvest, and the storm now raging violently against the darkened window panes, the true magic of this isolation begins to reveal itself in the flickering firelight. If we were back in the sprawling concrete metropolis, this would be the exact moment the screens would come out to hijack our attention. We would retreat into our individual, illuminated silos, doom-scrolling through a curated feed of other people's fabricated lives, physically sharing a room, but emotionally existing thousands of miles apart. But here, the absence of Wi-Fi is not a deprivation. It is a profound liberation. Without the constant digital dopamine drip to distract us, we are forced to look up. We are forced to look directly into each other's eyes. The old man leans back in his creaking chair, the orange glow of the embers highlighting the deep rivers of wrinkles carved into his face, each line a map of grief, triumph, and sheer endurance. He clears his throat and begins to speak, not in the frantic, attention-seeking cadence of a modern influencer, but with the slow, resonant gravity of someone who actually has something to say. He speaks of harsh winters from decades past, of crops lost to frost, and communities bound together by necessity. In this space, there is no urge to formulate a witty reply or check the time. We practice the entirely forgotten art of deep, active listening. We hear the subtle tremor in his voice when he speaks of those who have passed on, and we share in the genuine, unrecorded laughter that follows a lighter memory. The silence that settles between the stories is not awkward or desperately in need of filling. It is a comfortable, heavy blanket of mutual understanding. We are
will face
remembering
this
what it
together
feels like to
and
be
plant
part of a
again.
tribe. This
Welcome
raw,
home, my friends.
unfiltered human
May the warmth
connection
of this
is the very
fire and the
thing our
love of our
modern
tribe
souls are
keep you
starving for
grounded.
as we navigate a world suffering from a
Sometimes the
terrifying
future just feels like
epidemic
this
of
big,
loneliness.
scary
Here,
unknown,
stripped of our
I
job
worry I'm not
titles,
doing
our
enough.
bank
It's okay to
balances,
feel that
and our
way.
curated digital
I'm
personas,
glad I waited
we are
until it
just
felt
humans
natural. There
seeking
was no
warmth in the
rush.
dark. We share our
Exactly.
fears
And the
without the
result is
terror
much
of
better
public
when you
judgment,
don't push
and
it.
we find profound solace in the fact that, against the massive, terrifying power of the raging storm outside, we are together, anchored in the
History, you see,
undeniable
is not
reality
merely a
of each
collection
other's
of
presence.
dates. It
After
is the
hours of
echo
shared
of
warmth and
humanity's
stories,
choices,
the howling
resounding
winds
through
eventually
time.
exhaust themselves,
The shared
surrendering to the
experience
profound,
builds an
washed-clean
impenetrable
stillness of a
fortress
new
of
dawn.
peace inside.
I push open the heavy door and step out into a world completely transformed. The morning air is startlingly crisp, carrying the intoxicating, metallic scent of ozone and crushed pine needles. Everything is dripping, glistening under the pale, golden light of a sun that has just begun to pierce the lingering gray clouds. The violent storm did not destroy the sanctuary. It merely washed away the dust, leaving everything sharper, brighter, and incredibly alive. Standing here in the damp earth, breathing in this absolute purity, the frantic illusions of the modern world finally completely shatter. You realize, with terrifying clarity, that the rat race you have been
roll it
running
nice and
is
hard.
entirely optional. The emails,
Oh,
the
look at
algorithms,
that! You
the
did
suffocating
so
pressure
well.
to endlessly consume and achieve. None of it is a fundamental law of the universe. It is a man-made cage, and the door has been wide open this entire time. The profound peace you feel in your chest right now, listening to the morning birds slowly reclaim the silence, is your natural state of being. You were not born to be a biological battery powering a digital economy. You were born to experience the raw, magnificent depth of human existence. But now comes the hardest part of the journey. The storm has passed, and eventually, the demands of reality will
The
call you
howling
back.
wind
You
outside
cannot hide in this
becomes a
rustic kitchen
magnificent
forever.
testament
The
to
ultimate
eternal
question
peace.
is not whether you will return to the noise of society, but who you will be when you step back into it. Will you immediately plug back into the matrix, letting the concrete jungle swallow your soul once again? Or will you carry this quiet, unshakable power with you? You now know what real labor feels like.
fortified
You know the
state of
taste of
mind.
honest nourishment, and you have felt the
A
profound weight
sanctuary
of
built
true human
inside.
connection. You have built the sanctuary inside your own mind. So, as you walk back down the muddy path toward the flashing lights of the distant city, keep this silence fiercely guarded in your heart. Let the world scream, let the digital war zone rage, but refuse to bleed out for it ever again. You have touched the raw essence of life, and nobody can ever take that away from you. In the end, this journey through the storm and the sanctuary is not merely an escape from the modern world. It is a vital return to our fundamental human nature. We have built a society that prioritizes hyperconnectivity, endless consumption, and artificial achievements, leaving our spirits entirely starved of genuine meaning. The raw exertion of physical labor, the comforting ritual of preparing an honest meal over an open fire, and the unfiltered vulnerability of shared stories in the dark all serve as a profound awakening. They remind us that our truest selves are not found in glowing screens or digital metrics, but in the dirt, the smoke, and the eyes of the people sitting right in front of us. This experience strips away the relentless anxiety of the digital age, replacing it with a quiet, grounded resilience. The ultimate realization is that the rustic cabin in the woods is not the only sanctuary. The true sanctuary is a fortified state of mind. We cannot all completely abandon civilization, but we can refuse to be consumed by it. By deliberately stepping out of the digital matrix, we reclaim our autonomy. We realize that the frantic noise of modern existence is a man-made cage, and the door is always open. When we inevitably return to the concrete landscape, we must carry this primal stillness within our chests as a permanent anchor against the overwhelming tide of modern expectations. We survive the modern storm not by running faster, but by remembering how to stand incredibly still. The most profound takeaway is that the suffocating urgency of the modern world is a fabricated illusion. True fulfillment does not come from endless optimization or digital validation. It stems from intentional presence, raw human connection, and a tangible relationship with the physical world. You are a living, breathing biological being, not a machine meant to power an algorithm. You do not need to move to an isolated cabin to reclaim your soul. You can build this sanctuary exactly where you are by creating intentional analog anchors in your routine. Start by establishing strict tech-free zones. Leave your phone in another room while you eat or an hour before you sleep. Next, engage in physical tasks that yield immediate, tangible results. Cook a meal entirely from scratch, tend to a houseplant, or walk outside without headphones. Finally, prioritize looking people in the eye. When someone speaks to you, put the screen down and practice deep, active listening. Anchor yourself in the physical reality, and the digital chaos will immediately lose its power over you. What is one simple analog activity, like cooking, walking, or reading a physical book, that helps you disconnect and find your inner peace? Please share your thoughts in the comments below so we can all learn from each other's perspectives. If you found value in this reflection, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating more deep and meaningful content for you.
Look at these beautiful